Hey guys, what's going on? This is the conservative speaking, and I wanted to talk about black people having black names and why it can seriously hinder their opportunities at employment. Why? What's in the name? It's just the name, by the way. But um, black people have already been taught, they have already been indoctrinated by by the black parents, right? Most of them are single mothers, um, running the household that they need to identify as African American as opposed to identifying as Americans, and most do not love this country at all. And so when they have this attitude of not loving the country, not being able to um, instill the values, um the morals and the values of American culture, then they tend to run off with another ideology, and that is the black liberation theology, which to me is the most divisive way of thinking, especially as an American in a free country, to think that that you have to identify with other people, and the simple fact that you have to then assimilate with other blacks and have this collectivism, tribalism, group thinking, I think will seriously put these blacks at a disadvantage that other folks, that other whites and Asians and others will be able to now take advantage of. Um, but what is in a name? First of all, uh, most blacks that have black names, uh, their names have absolutely no meaning nor any connections to Africa at all. And even if it does, they themselves have no connections to Africa at all. So the fact that they even call themselves African Americans, and while giving themselves a so-called African American name, honestly is the most ridiculous thing that black people can do. Truth be told, black people need to love this country, and they need to assimilate with American values. It's that simple. I mean, think about it. Are they really doing themselves any favors by giving themselves a black name, especially when we know what comes with the black name? Black people are known for things that exist in the black culture that really is a negative stereotype within the black culture, and that's only because they brought that upon themselves. All right. If you hear a black person with a black name, you immediately know that you're going to get trouble, because these people are not going to follow American society, nor are they going to adapt American culture. But instead, they're going to adapt a different culture that is far from American and tends to be more radical. It tends to be more against the system as opposed to being for the system. And so the stereotypes that come within the blacks is that black people are rude, loud, obnoxious, violent, and very entitled, and tardiness, um, lack of work ethic, and lack of morals and values. That's what comes within the black community. And so if I were a person, if I were a person and I happened to and I happen to hear a name, you can immediately associate that name as, especially if it's a name that sounds, I mean, that sounds out, that just sounds just completely outrageous. You know for a fact that it is a black name, and you know it's going to be associated with the negative stereotypes that come with the black name, because with the black name comes the negative stereotype of black people. And in the end, most, not all, but most black people are negative people. So, I mean, when you come off with names like, for the men, Tayshawn, Deron, Tayshawn, actually Tayshawn and Deron. I mean, it's okay. I mean, Rashi, Raynell, Deontay. I mean, come on, these names are ridiculous. Um, Taraje, Josie, Karan, um, and anything that has a D and a Kurt and a comma, like DeAndre. I'm like, why can't you just name yourself Andre? What is with this DeAndre, Deontay, Devonte? What the Victor? I mean, it's just it's it's ridiculous. Um, and the person like me, I've always said that if you want to disassociate yourself with America, fine, take a one-way ticket. All right, take a one-way ticket and go to Africa and leave my country. Get out of my country. We don't need people like you here. All right? Like the blacks here, the blacks that have been taught to hate America. I mean, they're just as equivalent as bringing in refugees who refuse to assimilate with American culture. I mean, these people can be the most radical people. And these are the type of people that can give you problems down the line because they refuse to assimilate with American culture. And if you are American, you need to behave American, or otherwise go to a country that you associate with the most. But you're here in America, you need to get down with American culture, and coming up with these ridiculous black names are not going to help. All right, names like Tawanda, Shaniqua, Taliqua, Malika, Shaquira, Krawanda, Kianda, Latifa. Like, what is wrong with what is wrong with you people? I mean, why can't you have a name like Mary or Mary or Sue, Carolyn, Beth, Mary Beth, or even Mary Sue? Like, I like that's a nice name for the color folk, for the color folks to have, especially the females. What's wrong with those names? And plus, those are names that sound normal. They sound American. All right, not Jalisha, Qualisha, Shanae, Shaquira. What the Shaquira? You know these names are made up. These names have absolutely no meaning, no substance at all. Now there are people, now there are Africans that have African names. All right, and granted, those names exist. Those names matter. Those names actually have meaning. These names are not made up. But keep in mind, they were either born in Africa or their parents were born in Africa. So clearly, if you're born in Africa, you're going to associate with names that are from the country that you or your parents were originally from. But these blacks were born here in America, and yet they don't want to adapt American names. They want to make up these ridiculous ghetto, stupid names that as soon as a person hears it, immediately they do not want to associate with those people because they know that black people bring about problems. All right, They are negative stereotypes in the black community, and it's all because the blacks have done it themselves. Okay? Hey, don't blame the messenger. Don't blame the messenger. Blame the person. All right? If black people weren't so negative, if they weren't so violent, if they weren't so radical, if they weren't so opposite to assimilation of American values and culture, then anytime we would hear this name, we would accept it. But to hear Jalisha, Quanisha, Shaquira, I mean, obviously, these are names that were brought up by ignorant women who grew up in a single family household, by their ignorant mothers, who clearly were indoctrinated into hating America, and rather than being American, that they should disassociate themselves with America and come up with these stupid, ghetto, ridiculous names that are not going to help them, and are really going to hinder their opportunities to gaining any type of opportunity that's given. A person like me, if I had a job, I mean, if I had my business, which I do, by the way, um, I run my own business. If I were to come across a name like Quanira or Jalisha, I know that I'm going to get I'm going to get attitude. I know I'm going to get resistance. I'm going to get um, talking back. I could even possibly get the woman being physically confrontational, because black people are so entitled and they play the victim so much that if you try to correct them, they look at it as a sign of disrespect, and they're ready to verbally and physically confront you over it. Why would I want to deal with that headache dealing with the color folks? There's no need. If I hear Quanisha, I know that she's going to come in with a uh, with a ridiculous looking Beyonce wig on, um, 9-inch nails, tattoos all over, nasty, disgusting attitude, and tardiness. Because we all know that, as a matter of fact, tardiness is known among the color folks, especially among the ones that have black names. As a matter of fact, the tardiness is so bad that people have a new name to call tardiness among the blacks, and it's called color people time, because black people come whenever they want to come. All right. If you want a black person to come in at if you expect them to be at a party, or if you expect them to be at an event at 7 p.m., it's best to tell them that it's at 5, because you can guarantee that they're going to be 2 hours late. All right. If there's not anything else that I know, I may not know my flowers, but I know black people, especially black women. But let me know what you think. What do you think about what I said? Is it out of line, or does it really align with what the color folks believe they are? Leave a comment below after you subscribe to my channel. Smash that like button if you like the video. All right, share the video and subscribe, 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 because I'm planning on giving you guys a whole lot more content. Okay, and with that being said, this is the conservative signing out. Have a good night.